Hi everybody, it is time to do a stream on these pesky iPhone camera problems. I've got two cases today. These are both iPhone 8 Plus and they have no camera. So here's this one. Let's take a look at it. And it's totally ran out of charge. Of course it ran out of charge. Probably didn't run out of charge. Probably just the battery is disconnected. One thing I've noticed on a lot of these 7s and 8s is that the replacement charge ports, man, those are tough. They are really difficult. I install them under the microscope just to get that perfect alignment. And even then, sometimes I feel like I have to put pressure on it just to get it to pull that charging current. All right, so this is this phone. Let's see what's up with camera. So I've just opened up the camera. Hi, you see me? You see me? So we've got, let's see, no cameras at all. So rear camera, front camera are not working. And I've got another case here where I have no cameras working. And let's go ahead and turn that off. I've got another case here, and I've got my old trusty, my KG, my known good. So this is my known good iPhone 8 Plus that I bought just to be able to do these kind of comparisons when you're trying to figure out these kinds of problems. And I'll show you what our approach is going to be. So if you are new to iPad Rehab and you like what we do, then come see us for training. Check out our new website. You can go find us at iPadRehab.com. You can send us your phone for mail-in repair, or you can sign up at iPadRehab.com training for our Microsoldering course, where we teach folks. Love teaching. I've been doing it for most of my life. And this next week we have our course. We've got I think one spot left. If we can fill that last spot, then I am going to go visit my buddy Louis Rossman in New York City for his birthday, help him out. He's really overwhelmed with a high increase in volume. So I want to be able to do that. I made him a bet that I would go help him out if I could fill this November course. So go over to iPadRehab.com and sign up for training. If you can't come in November next week, then sign up for December, January, or any other time. So this is our iPhone 8 Plus camera study. So the first one I'm going to look at is, let's see, this one here. So I've got the logic board taken out of this. This is just coming in as a rear camera job. So let's take a look under the microscope at the logic board, and let's start looking at the camera connector, the rear camera connector. And this logic board is kind of in the beat up category, kind of what I call dog damage. So I say that MacBooks are like dogs. They're tough. You can kind of beat them up a little bit, and they'll you can bang on them. You can, what's going on over here? They'll be all right. iPhones are cats. They're like cats. They're delicate. You got to be super gentle. You can't really poke at them. You can't just shove any kind of tweezers in there. Kind of like what's going on here. This is a little bit of just dog handling. What's going on here? Somebody just kind of press down on there or shove something in there. Same thing. What's going on at this connector? Little tiny bit of damage there. This board has just kind of had a little bit of rough treatment. What jumps out at me, though, is right here. So look at that screw hole. That is long screw damage. Now, we haven't seen cases of long screw damage in the iPhone 8 Plus. So the iPhone 8 Plus, maybe it's going to have long screw damage like we see in the iPhone 6, like we see in the iPhone 6S, the iPhone 6 Plus. A couple cases in the iPhone 7, but maybe it's going to be a thing for the iPhone 8 Plus. So where do you start? What do you do when you're trying to say, okay, could that long screw damage be affecting my camera problem or not? I don't know. It's in the area of camera. I know that there's a camera power management chip right over here, and I know that the destination for camera lines are going to be over there at the camera connector. So how can we figure this out? One idea would be, let's just see if ZXW happens to have those traces mapped out. So let's go on a hunt. Where is ZXW? Let's see. ZXW, where are you? Here you are. Hey, buddy, what's going on? So let's see. If we click here on the iPhone 8 Plus, what do we know about iPhone 8 Plus? So let's see. Is there anything that says screw holes break? Not yet. What about in here? Nope. Nothing. Now, if we go back to the iPhone 6, for example, the iPhone 6, if we were looking at an iPhone 6, ZXW says, hey, that's so common that we've actually, somebody in the world has mapped out for you the actual traces that underlie the screw. But that is not the case. We're on our own for the iPhone 8 Plus. So we're going to have to do it ourselves. So how are we going to do this? Oh, here Nick says that he has replaced 3 iPhone 8 Pluses at his location for this tech damage. Yeah, so you got to make sure you hammer it home. Long screw damage doesn't necessarily go away just because it's not in, this isn't an iPhone 6. All right, so how are we going to figure this out? This is back, it reminds me of Christmas Day, 2014 or 15, whenever it was the iPhone 6 had just come out in September, and I saw my first ever case of iPhone 6 long screw damage, and this is exactly what I had to do. I had to get a known good board. Now, you don't have to get a known good board. You can also get a bare board. So from China, you can go out on a hunt and find the actual board with no components on it. So you can do that, or you can grab this. This is my old KG 8 Plus. This is an iCloud locked 8 Plus that I bought. All right, so then we're going to get out the trusty old fiberglass pen. Fiberglass pen, available at iPad Rehab Supply. So this is something that is really an essential tool for a shop. So it has little teeny tiny fiberglass brushes, and it fits in a little sort of pen style thing like this so that you can just kind of rub. Now, I have done that to try to figure this out because it's super messy, and you got to wear gloves, and you got to kind of set up your environment to be able to do fiberglass pen work. You can see there's a little piece of fiberglass right here still on mine. All right, so what you do is you can start with a traditional razor blade and kind of get that ground plane off, which is what I did. So this is mostly ground. And see all these little dots? These are connections between a top ground layer and the next layer below. Those are thermal microvias that are connecting ground to ground. And we know that because if we get out our good old multimeter, we can test that. All right. Let's see. Don't forget to get your own TriStar tester. Check it out at the iPad Rehab Supply store. Yeah, TriStar tester's really been saving lots of people a lot of time. Love the TriStar tester. All right, so if I park a probe here on ground in continuity mode, then I can probe around here and see what is ground and get a beep on that. All right, and we can kind of see what's what. Also, you can see what is not ground, what is, for example, a trace that goes through the board like this. Then you'll see microvias that lead down, and then you'll see that trace sort of continuing on a different layer. So get some experience whenever you have like a big, deep short that's burned itself into the board of how boards are designed, and scrape a few layers down and see what's going on. At the end of the day, you're going to be on your own to map out the traces. So let me see if I can add a little bit more light to this view so that you can see what it looks like here. It is also, let me see if I can do this. I haven't thought about this. One way that I love for actually visualizing the traces, it's hard, is UV light. So let's see. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Why not give it a try? Let's try. Let's plug in the UV light. Let's plug it in and see if the camera, I don't know what will happen if we try to do this. If the camera can kind of show us that image or not. All right, let's see. Yeah, there was a guy we met at ERC who had something like a box of like refurbishable boards. He did not have the TriStar tester, and it's like, dude, that is money sitting there. All right, here's my iPad Rehab Supply UV light. I plugged it into USB. Now, UV's bad for your eyeballs, but we can stick it under the microscope. Look at that. That is pretty cool. You really, it is working out. You can see that there is one large fat trace here and another large fat trace there that I've kind of scraped away with a pen, fiberglass pen, a little bit so that I can put a probe on there. Now, this is really helpful when there's like a spaghetti nest of 8 or 10 different traces, like in the iPhone 6S, some of the right-hand side screws. But for this one, down in this layer, there's really 2 traces. So this is the 3rd layer. Top layer was ground, and then the 2nd layer is scraped away, and now we're in the 3rd layer here. So let's see if we can figure out what do those correspond to. Now, without ZXW being able to just tell us, we're on our own, and we're going to just have to do it with the good old multimeter in continuity mode. So let's just try it. Let's park a probe here on the big one, and then we can just kind of do this, like pick a spot of the board, like right here, and just do this. Or any of you guys, if I hear a beep, then I found my line. And so that's what I'm just going to rub around the board, rub until I find some kind of a beep. All right, I've done this before. Ha, there's my beep. Where is it? I'm getting a beep right there. So what is that guy? That is actually VCC main. So the main power rail runs right here. Now, how is that going to be a problem? It really isn't, unless you have long screw damage that just sort of presses that ground plane down into main. So you could actually cause the whole phone to be dead because of a little bit of long screw damage right there. All right, but you're unlikely to actually cut through and make an open line. So the only way you could really get a problem in that spot would be grounding out main from a big, deep screw. All right. Hey, how are you, Gary? So you can say yes to whatever he says, Gene. Okay, so next line, let's do the exact same thing for the little skinny dude. So if we kind of roll around in here, try to, let's see. All right, let's see. All right, is that ground? No. All right, so we're on this side of this cap. We're getting a beep. So just to make that clear, we're getting a beep from whatever this trace is. Let's see. Let me make that push down there. Yeah, both of these. All right, let's look it up, and then we'll have mapped out what line does that trace correspond to and see if it has anything to do with cameras. So let's go to ZXW. All right, so we're going to go over to ZXW, and we are going to go back to our buddy, the 8P, and this time we can just look up what are these guys right here. So we got a beep here. Who are you, bro? All right, and it's these 2 guys are on a line that is called, I hope you can see it down here. It's called PP1V1 underscore cam underscore tele underscore DVDD. All right, sounds power 1V1 cam power. All right, we got a hot lead for could long screw damage take out camera function in the iPhone 8 Plus. So it looks like it could. Let's just drill down a little bit on this and see what does it do. So let's pick C3710 and let's go to the schematic. We never want to rely on ZXW when we can look at the schematic. So let's go to the schematic, and we are going to look for, let's see, where is that schematic? What was it, 3710? Let me check back. All right. Yeah, C3710. I've been here before. All right, C3710 is on this page here where it says camera, PMU, camera power management. And if we look at this whole page, it looks like there's a chip, U3700, that's written in a couple of different ways here. We see these words like buck, and we see these words like LDO, and those are words that mean taking an incoming power source like main power and then dropping it down into a very specific outgoing power source. Now, cameras really are finicky, and they really like a very even, very exact power source. So in the old days, people would say, oh, you don't have to worry about it. Just jump main into any one of these power rails for camera and it'll work. And that might be true temporarily. You might get it to turn on, but you'll be banging on that camera with the wrong voltage, and that will make your camera life be very, very short. So here's our buddy 3710, and we can see that the rail here, PP1V1 cam tele DVDD, is one of the outputs of the camera power management chip. All right, and so we could guess that if you had long screw damage that pressed the top ground plane down into that rail, then that could certainly take out at least some of your camera function. And I think that that's what's going on in our case. So that's our first case. Let's get rid of this stuff, and then let's move on to the other case. So I really just kind of want to do some case studies here. So there we go. So that's our known good board. And really, as far as we can tell, without going down to the fourth layer, those are the only two important lines that go underneath that hole that could actually get damage. One is main, and then the other is that 1v1 camera power line. And it doesn't really look like there's anything else that's other than ground that's going under that particular hole. All right, so if we then look back to our case, then we have pretty deep long screw damage in that hole. So we would address that by taking off the bracket and trying to fillet that apart and doing a long screw damage repair. So that is a great job from Mark Shaver of iPad Rehab, and we will move that one along to his queue. All right, so next I wanted to do our other case. So I did this stream because I've got more than one case. I had two different 8+s, both of them with camera function problems. All right, so let's take a look at this case. This is the one that I had working with no cameras earlier. So here is the board. Now let's take a look at this board. So this one, first, let's learn from experience. Does it also have long screw damage? Answer is no. All right, so there's something else that's going on to take out an 8+ camera. Okay, so let's see. What can we do to figure it out? Well, let's go ahead and head over to the camera connector. So we've got these camera connectors, and let's start doing good old diode mode to compare to known good. So let's do that. So I'm going to go to diode mode and red probe on ground. Let's just start doing it. All right, so red probe on ground, I am going to click over here, and I've got 0.698. I'm going to do sets of 3, 0.612. And ground. So the first set of 3. So I do 1, 2, 3, and then I'll compare 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'll flip back and forth between this and my known good. Where are you, old known good? All right, so here's my known good. So I'm going to put my known good sort of right next to this. Right, so here's my known good. And we're going to do the exact same thing. Red probe on ground, any ground, like, screw bracket right there, or shield bracket. And the first one is 0.696, that's a match. Second one, 0.61, also a match. Next one should be ground. But it's not ground. So on my known good, I've got 0.598 on pin number 3. And if I go back to my bad board on pin number 3, I have a short. Oh my goodness, a short. All right, so in diode mode, when we have 0, 0, 0 on the bad board and 0.6 on the good board, That's a significant difference, so we know that's a problem. That should not be the case. Now, if you go through all of the other pins, these are all an exact match. So we'll just sort of save time, and we'll focus in on our one problem line, which is a short to ground on pin 3. Let's go to ZXW and research our lines. We'll go to ZXW and the schematic. So let's pull back. ZXW, we have a short to ground. Now, how the heck did we get a short to ground? Where's the short to ground? It is on the 3rd pin here, pin number 5. All right, and the line is PP cam. Sounds important for camera. PP cam, VCM, PVDD connector side. All right, so that line then, let's see, where does it go and what does it do? So let's see if we can find it on the schematic. So it goes from the connector. Let's see. It goes from the connector, and then we pick it up over here on the other side of the board, and it looks like there's a filter, and then there's this C3909. So let's go ahead and go over to the schematic and look for C3909 and see if we can understand our line a little bit. So C3909, let's do it. Is it on the same page? Probably. C3909. There it is. So C3909 goes from the connector. So the connector, there's this cap here, and then it goes through, what kind of a thing is this? A filter, which means, since a filter is a wire, that this line PP2V85 VAR, CAM, VCM, PVDD, that is the same as this line over here. It's just renamed because a filter is a wire. Now, I'm pointing this out because really, if we had any problem over here on this side of our line, any cap that's short to ground, any chip that's short to ground, any mechanical short to ground like long screw damage, anything like that, that is going to pull down to ground this entire line through that filter because the filter is a wire. Now, why is that important? Why are we spending time talking about that? And it's because people get trolled on ZXW. So on ZXW, see how the line just extends from the connector to our cap, C3909, and then it just goes to the filter, and we can't see the other extension, the other half of the line. So we have to click on the other side because remember, a filter is a wire. So our line is everything you see here in red, plus it goes over here to a coil, a couple of caps, and a chip. So this is equal fair game. We could have a short to ground on these caps or within this chip, and it's going to make our line short all the way out to the connector. So don't get trolled by these filters and think, oh, my line is only on this, only what's here on ZXW, because you have to kind of click through that. Similarly, could a short to ground here on under the chip or within the chip on those two little tiny spots, could that make us have a diode mode of 0 out here at the connector? And the answer is yes, because a coil is a wire, which means it goes all the way through. It goes all the way through the filter, and it goes all the way out to the connector. That's all one wire. That's all one line. All right, let's continue looking at it on the schematic itself. All right, let's see. All right, likes are good. More likes, please. Yes. Don't forget to give this stream, smash that like button. I said that when we were getting on the plane to go to the ERC. Somebody was, asking about, our new uniforms. Oh, are you guys all, a team? You guys have a YouTube channel? Yeah, we do. Smash that like button, bro. All right, so now we've got to pick up the new name of our line here, which is this 2V85, and let's follow it. Follow. And let's see. It takes us to this little area over here where we've got 3 other potential short to ground spots. Any of those caps could become a wire to ground. And then we have this says omit. So this little symbol here is kind of an internal short, meaning on purpose connection within the layers of the board. but it says omit, so maybe that's there, maybe it's not, doesn't really matter. And then we've got this, Uncle Henry. This is a coil. So we've got a coil, which is always going to be part of a buck converter circuit. And the coil then leads us back to the chip. And this is our same chip that we were looking at with our other camera problem, which is U3700, the camera power management chip. So in the iPhone 8 Plus, the camera has its own dedicated power management chip for handling camera power, which tells us there's a lot more ways then that you could get a failure on, that just sort of takes out 8 Plus doesn't have cameras. Well, you've got a lot more going on with the cameras in the 8 Plus than you ever did before. So it's an entire page of schematics. All right, so that tells us we have a short. We know we have a short. Could it be within the camera PMU chip? Yes, because shorts can be caused by caps or chips or a mechanical failure like long screw damage. Could it be any one of these caps? Yes. Could it be the coil, L3700? No, this cannot fail in a way that causes a short to ground, right? Cannot fail in a way that makes it start talking to ground, because it doesn't talk to ground. There's no way that it could suddenly become a wire to ground. Caps, they can become wires to ground. So we've got on our short list of potential problems, C3700, 3701, 3702. Could be any of those. Or it could be back where we started. It could be not the filter, but it could be C3909. And then if we go back out to the connector, it could be some kind of abrasion at the connector itself. And that's all of our possibilities. So we know we have a short to ground, and we know that we only have a handful of potential causes. So let's go ahead with short detection strategy number 1, which is vote the ugliest guy off the island. iPad Rehab, no more LDOs in the iPhone 8. I'm going to guess the iPhone 8 Plus and 8 are similar. This is an 8 Plus, but they're probably similar. So the LDO, there is an LDO, and the LDO is part of. So let's go back. Let's see. The LDO then is part of a larger chip, U3700. And we can even see this word, LDO input and LDO output. So we have multiple LDO lines. These are all camera voltages. Look at them. There's a lot of them. So it's not just one or two. There's not one for front camera, one for rear camera. But we can see in them. We've got a power line for front camera, a power line for wide. We've got a tele front camera, wide tele. So this is, a bunch of different power lines in the iPhone 8 Plus. So that all of these are going to be required for normal camera function. There's a lot more ways for this to fail. All right, so the camera chip then, let's take this away. Let's take this away. So we've got this whole chip here. This chip is your special power management chip just for providing camera voltages. So it's sort of like a big fancy version of what we used to call the camera LDO. But now it's not just an LDO, it's a bunch of LDOs plus a 1 or 2 buck converter lines all tied together in one power management chip just for camera. All right, so a lot more lines, a lot more ways for cameras to fail. Okay, so what are we going to do? Let's take out the board that we're working on. This is the board that has the short. And let's do short detection strategy number 1, which is let's vote the ugliest guy off the island. So let's just kind of put our eyeballs on the potential chips and caps that could cause a short circuit on that line and see what we can find. All right, so let's see. Let's flip this board around so that it matches the way ZXW kind of portrays this. Now let's go back to ZXW and just take a look at our whole line at once. All right, ZXW says, all right, we could have a short to ground here at the connector. That's unlikely. Anything else on the top side of the board? Not that we can see right in this view. All right, let's look on the back side of the board. We're going to look at these 2 caps, and then we are going to look through the filter. We are going to look at, back on the top side of the board, there's a couple of caps the coil, and the chip itself. So those are all our possibilities. The easiest one for us to find, we have to take the shield off to look there. The easiest one for us to find first would be, hey, let's just put our eyeballs on these guys that are back there and see what they look like. So let's do it to it. All right, so we're going to flip this board over then and just kind of hunt around and try to find that spot in that area. Okay. Aha! 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 Now remember, this board is also kind of dog damaged board. You know, if you kind of look at it, there's a lot of just sort of, you know, rough handling. So rough handling, you know, around the battery connector. It had a shorted cap on a main power rail that I already found and removed completely separate from this problem. And this one doesn't have long screw damage, but it was in a housing. This one had a housing swap. You know, so it was in a housing that had severe back glass damage. So this was one where somebody was kind of trying to get at that back glass. So that's sort of the history of this one. And now look at our spot. Let's look at it. Ding, ding, ding. What jumps out at you? What does that cap look like? Is this cap one of our guys? Hell, it sure is. Hellfire! All right, let's look back at ZXW. There it is. Look at that. We've got our filter, and then right above it is our cap. That's our guy. All right, let's look back. We've got our filter right here, and this really ugly looking cap. Yay! All right, so let's just make sure with our multimeter, just to show you guys that, of course, thanks for $3. Stub DT, gotta go. Appreciate every donation on the channel for sure, even if I can't pronounce your name at all. All right, let's just check to see. Hey, is this cap on our shorted line? And it is. We already know that it is, but we're just gonna make sure that's crystal clear. Make that beep. Oh, that's the wrong. I'm like, why is that not beeping? Because it's the wrong one. We're measuring this one. But look at that one. That one looks, you know, kind of. Nah, that's hard to tell. It might just be the underfill. All right, let's do that again. All right, let's actually measure the cap that we're talking about. All right, so that makes sense. All right, because if there's a hole in the balloon anywhere, there's a hole in the balloon everywhere. So if there's a short to ground anywhere on the line, then there's a short to ground everywhere on the line. All right. So don't measure the wrong cap when you're looking for a short. But we already know that, right? So we know that this cap is on our shorted line, our 2V85 power line for the camera. Next step is to take it off. So what is the safest way to take this cap off? It is surrounded by underfill, and it is adjacent to the Wi-Fi chip. Now, Wi-Fi chips don't like for you to bang in here with heat. So if I were to come in here with hot air to try to replace this cap, that would really be difficult because I'm likely to overheat the Wi-Fi chip. So instead, I'm going to try something a little bit gentler. So let's just go down to like low heat, hairdryer heat. And let's see, it's stubbed toe. Stubbed toe. Okay. All right. I've got a suggestion for hot tweezers. Hot tweezers would be maybe okay, but I think that regardless of our method, our first step is to try to clear a little bit of the underfill just so that we can kind of work in that area. So I'm going to use my favorite board holder. And I am going to use a little bit of low heat because we want to be cats. We want to treat the board like a kitty. We're going to treat it like a cat, not like a dog. And we're going to get just our favorite tool for working in very, very fine areas. All right, so with a little bit of gentle hairdryer heat, we're just going to kind of allow that to sort of soften up. Not 155, that's too low. All right, so we're gonna let a little bit of hairdryer heat. Well, that's quite messed up there. Our goal is to just try to make it a little bit cleaner in this area. And just get rid of some underfill. This has the like translucent looking clear underfill. We're just gonna pick it away and not bother anything else. All right. Just picking a little bit. And being really careful. You don't want to dig into the board or dig up anything else. Just passing through. So it may even be that this cap may be able to be so exposed that it can itself get damaged just straight from the back glass being broken. I'm not sure about that. I didn't get to see the original housing on this one. Okay, so let's see. Find it interesting they put all the cam stuff into one IC. Well, that seems like a very reasonable thing to do, I think. All right, now we can try our hot tweezers on there. And if hot tweezers can't do it, which maybe they can't because it's ground. This is on a shorted line, which has a path to ground on both sides. Then I would just try to wiggle it off. As you want to be as least invasive as possible. All right, so we've got our mini hot tweezers. And we're going to see if we can kind of just get in here and nudge that guy off. All right, and that was straightforward. That was no problem. So we're going to just puff up these pads. All right. And what I love about the mini hot tweezers is that you can kind of feel, you can tell when you've cleared a short because now you have no path to ground and it makes the pad become very liquidy. All right, so let's check. All right, so we'll go back to diode mode and we're just going to poke around here then. All right, so now our diode mode is going back up as the board is still warm. It's 0.5 and we're going to expect that to come back up to 0.6 or whatever it was when we started out at the connector. All right, so that cap was the cause of a short circuit on our 2V85 8 plus camera power line, one of many power lines. Let's test. Why not? Let's test. Let's see. Is that what was going on with our cameras? Now, sometimes with depending on what version of the iOS the device is on, you can have really just a problem with rear camera and then front camera doesn't work either because of software. That can sometimes happen. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to pop in my known good, my old KG, the KG rear camera. All right, let's see. Stub, I have to find a way to afford this class. Well, one thing that some people do is that, when you come to the course, bring your problem boards, not the rabbit holes, not a bunch of software problems and, boot looping, iTunes error, but nothing else is wrong with it, but you can bring signature problems, your touch diseases and audio IC, the stuff that you want to learn how to fix. And then a lot of times people will end up being able to fix stuff here at the course. So that's a fine way to do it. All right. But yes, at the course at Practical Board Repair School, you are definitely welcome and you're encouraged to bring real cases. So we want you to be working on real problems, not kind of, made up, hey, me and Mark broke this in the back room. Let's see. I'm trying not to go mental because Lewis isn't in the store. Why would you go mental? All right, let's see. Let's see. Yes, maybe in the future everything will be one chip. Yeah, that's another reason why MacBooks are easier to work on and a great place to start than iPhones, because iPhones have that tiny mashed in surface area, so there are a lot more, everything just goes in this one chip. MacBooks are more spread out, so they have more real estate, so they can have more this chip and then a bunch of sort of supporting components and less this one chip does everything with the RAM soldered on top of it. All right, let's see. Okay. All right, let's see. So I put that back together. So now let's test, and then we'll see whether or not we have to go on a hunt to find more camera problems, or if that will be it. All right, let's see if we can wake this device up. And let's make it boot. I'm going to prompt. I think the power button is either not plugged in or not working in that housing. So I'm going to prompt it to boot with USB. All right, so we're going to see whether or not the camera works, and that's it. Raining outside. Let's see. I bought a dead iPhone for the purpose of trying my hand at it. All right. I'm going to hold this battery down so that it can do that. All right. I really enjoy watching your videos as well as Lewis's. Have you all ever talked about doing a one-time board repair together live? We have done that several times. We used to teach the course together back when we tried to teach both MacBooks and iPhones in one course. That is too much content. So there's a couple of Lewis and Jessa streams that are out there. We'll definitely do a stream if you guys sign up to come to Practical Board Repair School starting on Monday. Our November course starts on Monday. This morning there was 1, maybe 2 slots left. I'm not really sure. If we fill that course, then I'm definitely going to go down to hang out with my buddy Lewis as he is about to turn 30 years old, and help him fix some boards, and I'm sure we'll definitely do a stream. All right, let's see what happens with this. All right. Hey! All right, I see a camera. All right, is that rear camera? Yes, that's rear camera. Excellent. Let's pop it into the hole a little bit better. There we go. Yay, it's the iPad Rehab shop. Look, you can see the iPad Rehab green screen. All right, and let's see about front camera. Front camera, yay! Do you guys, when you fix front camera and then you're like staring at yourself, are you just like, oh? I know I have that feeling a lot. All right, so there we go. So cameras are now fixed. So there you go. Let's see. Jessa, what is the other cap that had an impression of damage used for? Might be another looming problem. I'm not sure that cap was actually damaged. That might have just been sort of the light on top of the translucent underfill, kind of giving it a little bit of a glare. But that's a good question. Let's look it up and just see, hey, what was that other up north cap? It would have been one or the other of these guys. All right, and that's for, you guessed it, another camera problem. So how do we test that? Well, the only way a cap can fail is to become short to ground. So we just get out our multimeter and make sure that that line measures the same as it should in diode mode. We can click over here and see how to, its path from the power management chip. There's a little cap. It goes through a filter. That filter's got to be there. And then it's going to be over here at the end of the connector. So I did already diode mode to kind of get a clue where this problem was likely to be, and there was no other short to ground on this phone in the camera region. So there we know. All right. Happens to me all the time when I accidentally see myself in that angle. Exactly. All right. So that is fixed. So we fixed our 8 Plus camera problem. The fact that I had 2 8 Plus camera problems, I think this is going to be something that we're going to start seeing a lot of, especially with so many different camera lines, lots of ways for that to fail. That combined with the glass damage and people trying to pry up that glass, I think that we're going to see a lot of these faults. So if you have an iPhone 8 Plus with camera problems, then give us a shout at iPadRehab.com and send it in for mail and repair. Or if you are a microsolderer and you want to learn how to fix these iPhone 8 rear camera problems and thousands of other problems, then hit us up for microsoldering training at iPadRehab.com/training. And that is it for us today. I will see you guys next time.